Our planet, incredible and beautiful, but fragile too, and increasingly under threat as mankind interferes. Mitigating the damage requires ingenuity, innovation, and sometimes a green thumb. All over the world, from the forests of Kenya to the deserts of Dubai, from plastics to produce and protecting marine life. Meet 5 incredible people as they tell you in their own words how they are going green with sustainable solutions to help save our planet. We begin in Scotland in the United Kingdom, where inspiration taken from a trip to India is paving a new way to help the plastic waste epidemic overtaking our oceans.
In every ton of asphalt that's used, we would use around 20,000 one-time use plastic bottles and around 70,000 one-time use plastic bags in 1 ton of asphalt. My name's Toby McCartney and I have worked out how to take waste plastics and mix them in with asphalt to create a stronger, longer lasting road. We are wanting to solve 2 world problems. On one side, we call it the waste plastic epidemic, and on the other side, the poor quality of roads that we have to drive on today. This all started because I was at my little girls' school assembly and the teacher had given them the topic of what lives in our oceans. One little girl had put her hand up and she said, "Fish, miss." My little girl put her hand up and she said, "Plastics, miss." And the teacher kind of stood back and you could see this look of shock in her face. But the research that we had done actually showed that by the time my little girl is my age, the grand old age of 40, it's expected that there will be more plastics in our oceans than fish themselves. I remembered something that I'd seen back in India when I was out traveling in India. And what they were doing is they employed people called pickers. These pickers would go to landfill, they would pick out a load of old rubbish, they would take that rubbish, put it into potholes, they would pour diesel all over it, light it, and all the stuff was melting down to kind of form a seal in the potholes. And I thought, when I got back to the UK, that's what I'll do. We take the polymers, the plastics that you and I throw away every single day, the bottles, the bags, the nappies, you name it. We then pelletize them, and then with those pellets, we then sell those pellets on to the asphalt manufacturers that use them to replace part of the bitumen, the black oily stuff that you see in a road. And it's that that forms a stronger seal, just like a super glue rather than a Pritt stick kind of glue. We had to go through a UCAS accredited lab to meet the British and European standards. That was the original mix. What we found with those lab test results when compared to other asphalt is we're not just stronger, we're not just longer lasting, but in fact we were 60% stronger than the current asphalt that we see down on our roads today. We were lasting 2 or 3 times longer than the asphalt that we drive on today. Now, of course, these are just lab test results, and we have to wait and see in 20 years' time after our roads have been down all over the world how long they will last. We now have done trials and tests out in the US, in the States, over in Canada, Bahrain and places like Saudi Arabia. It took us quite a long time, certainly in the UK, to convince our councils, our local authorities and our asphalt manufacturers that what we have actually does work. It's wonderful to be here. We started in a tiny little place, actually in my kitchen, in a place called Lockerbie in Scotland. And here we are, this is another road going down. We've got roads going down all over the world. It's great to be part of this journey. So the road that I'm sitting on today is the first road that went down with a Makriva product we call MR6. It was the first mix that we knew that would work, that would mix in with the bitumen and the aggregates to form this driveway here. It's now been down for about 3 years, and it's still, as you can see, other than the mud from the tractors and the trucks that drive on it, it's still in mint condition, no potholes. If you just look just over there, the council road over there, unfortunately is full of potholes. Our road is still in mint condition. They were laid at the same time.
Next on Going Green, we head to East Africa, where one woman is having an impact not just on the environment, but on the health of her fellow villagers. From plastic roads in Scotland to a village of coffee farmers in Kenya, this is the next stop on our green journey. It began as a way to cut down on smoke inhalation in one home and has now spread to a village, thanks in large part to one amazing woman.
The biogas stove is very efficient. It also provides very clean energy. It is so good. I enjoy and I really like it. I'm Zedi Rotit. I'm a coffee farmer and I also use cow dung to produce energy. I come from Kericho County, Kenya. Initially we were faced with so many challenges, struggling and getting firewood, and especially during the rainy season. You know, wood fuel does not burn up, does not produce energy for cooking. With these so many challenges of collecting firewood, we decided to come together as a group. That is a group of 300 women. We wanted to construct some biogas units, at least even 10 every year for the women. Because it is a government regulation not to fall down trees. Therefore, it is so hard to get even firewood to cook, and you have to cook for the family. Nowadays, I don't even use wood for cooking, because initially I used to wake up early in the morning and collect firewood first, and it will consume a lot of time. And that one also means I go to my coffee farm very late hours after taking a lot of time collecting firewood. In the morning I wake up, I feed my cows, and in turn they give me cow dung, where I collect the cow dung, I put into the mixing chamber, then I mix with water, that is in the ratio 1:1, then I drain into my digester, and from there I can easily get my biogas. Then the bioslurry for putting into my coffee farm. It is tiresome, but in the long run, if you work on the coffee farm, you are going to get income from it. Because it is so efficient in terms of time. I cook very fast for my family. My biogas stove has got 2 cooking units. It has got 2 burners, so I can cook food using both burners. I also get to my coffee farm as compared to the old energy, where it could take a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to ignite. What inspired me to start this biogas project is to cut down the costs. Like biogas is a renewable resource. It regenerates. Number 2, it is also safe and very clean. And number 3, I also get the slurry from the biogas units, from the digester. It is also environmentally friendly. It is also my call that all other women should have biogas units, because it is so efficient. The advantages outweighs the advantages of using wood fuel. And I just like all the women, if possible, to get the biogas units and to cook using the biogas.
We're now headed from Africa to Asia. When it comes to farming and agriculture, people usually think large rolling fields with rows of crops. But what happens when that isn't an option? In Beijing, known more for grey smog than fresh greens, an investment banker turned urban farmer is hoping to change the future of farming.
I think a lot of people, when they think about agricultural technology and urban farming, they think about farming on rooftops or farming on balconies. And we're trying to show that you could take any space in the city, whether it's an underground unused parking structure like our farm here in Beijing, or a secondhand shipping container, or even an office or a restaurant corner. My name is Stuart, I'm from Alaska Life, and we turn unused shipping containers and parking structures into urban sustainable farms. I'm a former investment banker turned urban farmer, so I've had a very big career change. One of the people that I respected most when I was an investment banker was a woman who used to recycle all of the paper that she used. She told me that she didn't want her children to have to go to a museum to see what a tree looks like. And really, a lot of the ideas that she and many others around me have really made me want to make my most productive years spent developing technology and innovation for the agricultural industry. One of the big inspirations for me is that agriculture is a very big industry. Almost a third of the entire global economy is related to the agricultural supply chain. The agricultural industry is incredibly archaic. It's very much driven by tradition. It's one of the most subsidized industries on the planet. So it makes it very challenging for us to introduce a new kind of technology. And despite the efficiencies that it might have and a lot of the benefits, there can be a lot of pushback from customers in terms of the perception of the food, and also even from potential corporate customers who view this form of food production as very non-traditional. The current agricultural industry is incredibly resource intensive, and it requires a lot of logistics in order to get the food that's produced to the consumers that can enjoy them. And so our hope is to be able to grow food more localized and also be much, much more efficient in the process. So this is the seedling area where all of our plants start out their journey. Our technology is actually quite simple. It's something that has been innovated over the past decades. We use a hydroponic system that allows us to recirculate the water. And by controlling the environmental parameters, it allows us to grow 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. And we can accomplish all this without the use of any chemical pesticides. This is the second stage of growing. This is called the nursery area. Everything you see here is 2 to 4 week old romaine lettuce. So after the seedling area, they come here where they have a little bit more space and different nutrition. And then in the final phase of growing, our romaine lettuce is moved to this finishing area. And they spend another 2 weeks here before everything grows to full height, and then we can deliver all the produce to our customers. Beijing and China in particular is very unique in that the consumer base here is becoming more educated, becoming more wealthy, and they're becoming much, much more sophisticated. And we're finding that healthy food and healthy lifestyle trends are becoming very big business here. Some of our big champions include Marriott Hotel, Westin, as well as Shangri-La. And the big hotel brands currently are really trying to find ways in which they can integrate green, sustainability, healthy lifestyles into their operations, into their buildings, directly into their menus. So here we have microgreens growing. This is radish for some of our hotel customers. They want really flavorful, colorful, nutritious products so that they can use this in sandwiches and salads. These are incredibly nutritious as well. And all these plants, believe it or not, grows in less than 10 days.
From China, we head to the Middle East, where a solution to saving water is both local and beautiful. In desert nations around the world, it is no secret that water is a precious commodity. In the United Arab Emirates, rapid development is changing the landscape every day. Now, a landscape designer is hoping to harness the power of local, sustainable plants and save water in the process.
What these native and indigenous plants will do is basically just use less water because they're desert plants. These plants really do help to hold any nutrients that there are in the soil together, but they live happily in the heat. My name's Camelia Vinzal. I'm a landscape designer in the UAE. I've been practicing landscape design for the last 15 years. The environmental issue for me that I really want to help solve is water scarcity. We're a desert ultimately in the UAE, so our water is obviously a priority. The government have got strategies in place, even to the point of dictating to landscape architectural practices what type of plants they should be using and how efficient the plants should be in terms of water consumption. So adaptive plants are plants that come from outside the country that will usually consume more water. So my strategy is basically to push in the private sector the use of indigenous plants within landscape design, but in a beautiful way. With the use of indigenous plants, you're at least saving 50% of your water on a daily basis. Plus, if you wanted to add organic matter that or molecules that actually retain the water, then of course you'd be saving more. So it really has a huge impact. In order for people to start appreciating indigenous planting, it's going to be a slow process. To be honest, the challenges with using indigenous plants is two things, the two major problems. One is that the production of the plants are very difficult because they're actually quite sensitive plants. The second is that we are trying to re-educate clients as to the beauty of indigenous plants and that they can be used in a different way. It doesn't have to be a desert landscape. These plants can be used in a typical garden setting. One of the most exciting achievements in my career was, of course, being awarded a silver gilt medal at Chelsea Flower Show for my garden, The Beauty of Islam. My inspiration, again, for that really came from the heart. And I really wanted to give a different perspective on Islam and Arab culture to the rest of the world. Ultimately, I'm Emirati and I'm proud to be Emirati. I'm very proud of my country and I'm very aware of the world issues that we have from an environmental perspective. So for me, it's really important to do my part. For me, it's heart-based.
From the UAE to the African island nation of Mauritius, where a boost in eco-tourism is also putting a big part of the environment there at risk. Specifically, the dolphins, so integral to the waters around the island. But a group of conservationists is working with everyone from the top levels of government to the drivers of the boats to protect some of the most important residents of Mauritius.
The most important thing is, I think, to educate people, because like me, a lot of Mauritian people are not aware of the treasures we have here. Like, for example, the dolphins and the whales. My name is Shakti Teker and I work for the Mauritius Marine Conservation Society. The MMCS is an NGO working in the marine conservation and it has been involved with the marine mammals protection for about 40 years now. MMCS works with marine conservation in a lot of projects, so we've been working with marine turtles, with octopuses, and a large part of our job was with dolphins. In 2006, with the rapid growth of the dolphin watching activity, the MNCS started a project for the sustainable development of the dolphin watching through training, mainly of the skippers, and public awareness. So we had awareness sessions where we would inform the people about the presence of these marine mammals in our waters and their behavior. This project was innovative for Mauritius because we included all the stakeholders involved in the dolphin watching activity, and we worked together with them to lobby for the implementation of a law that regulates the dolphin watching activity. It wasn't easy at the beginning of the project to get all stakeholders on board. We had to be very convincing that we were here to help them in the sustainable development of the activity rather than putting an end to it. On a typical day at the MMCS for the dolphin project, we go out on the boat, so it's 3 times a week when the weather is good. We monitor the dolphins, like we identify the species, the size of the population, we analyze their behavior, then we go back to the office and we analyze all the data we've taken.
This one is good, this one we can zoom in on.
We look at the picture to see if we know all these dolphins or we have new individuals in the groups. This is an overall indicator for the health of the population. People should be aware of what's in the sea and how to behave and how to live in harmony with the marine biodiversity. We can help with education. When we know something, we should tell to the others, and also we need enforcement because sometimes we can have very bad behavior in the sea, and it can be because we don't know or it can be because we don't care. So now it's time to care.
Time to care is something we've heard from all our green heroes. Despite the challenges ahead, from rising levels of plastics in the ocean to water scarcity in dry climates, they are optimistic for the future.
My hope for the future
Is a world where conservation is an extension to ourselves.
Agriculture and urban lifestyle can coexist.
is a world that uses green energy.
My hope for the future is a world where each one of us recognize the importance of looking after nature.
Where we don't have to think about it, it's just natural.
I would like to see us clean up our oceans and make the world a better place for the next generation and the generation to come from there.
Going green isn't just some slogan or catchphrase. It's an opportunity to learn from our planet, the solutions to many of the issues we face in modern times. In the next half hour, we'll meet a team of inspirational environmentalists spanning the globe with different strategies but one distinct goal: to change the world around them for the better.
I absolutely love being in nature. Throughout London, there are thousands of parks like this one with just beautiful tree canopy, and I love the curvature of the branches, the dappled light coming through the trees, the sound of wind going through the branches. I'm Dan Raven-Ellison and I'm working to make London a national park city. When most people think of national parks, they think of deserts or rainforests or mountains or moorlands. But I've explored all of the UK's national parks and I noticed that maybe something's missing, and that's a major urban area. We share this city with 15,000 other species of wildlife, and I don't think that the urban life is worth any less. I don't think that an urban red fox is worth less than an Arctic fox or a desert fox. It's just a red fox. I think people are awakening to the fact that we need to have a better relationship with nature for our own health and well-being, for the health and well-being of wildlife populations, but we also need to have a better relationship with nature for the health and resilience of our cities to tackle climate change. It's been calculated that parks and green spaces save Londoners $1.2 billion every year. That's as a result of people going out and walking their dogs or going for a kick around in the park. Imagine if we could get vastly more people outside enjoying and benefiting from the city's green and blue spaces. It would not only have a big impact on their health and well-being, but could have massive savings for the people. I started the campaign to make London a national park city 5 years ago now, and when I started out, I think that most people thought that I was completely bonkers, but I'm delighted to share that after all this work, London is going to be launched as the world's first national park city in July 2019. There are lots of initiatives around the world around making cities greener, and within London there's lots of policy which is there to help with exactly these objectives. But I think the thing about a national park city as an idea is it's so inspiring. It's a vision that so many people can share and contribute to in their own way. So the policy is really important, but if we don't inspire people to go on this journey with us, then we're not going to get anywhere. Thanks a lot for coming down, guys. It'd be really great if we could explore this site here. I do a lot of work speaking to community groups, going to schools, and here at Queen Mary University of London. So the challenge today is to walk around Mile End Park here in East London and to take photographs of urban wildlife and to look at the city with new eyes. Challenging students to go out and explore the city, beginning to think about how actually we can make the city even greener, even healthier and even wilder.
A bit absurd, really, but I like that absurdity. I think the idea of a park and the urban area existing at the same time in the same place is quite wild, but I think it's doable. And if anything, it's quite a flagship thing because then it can encourage other cities to do the same thing as well.
It's important to note that for me the idea of a London National Park city is not just about the green stuff. Those very urban concrete environments are just as much part of that experience. My dream for the future is that this really does improve life for people and wildlife in London. And then moving forward, that by 2025, there are 25 national park cities around the world. There is a campaign in Glasgow. There's a campaign just starting in Adelaide on the other side of the world. And the National Park City Foundation are just opening out this international conversation about what could it mean for a city to be a national park city in South America or Africa or South Asia.
I think that when you look into nature, invariably you're going to ask better questions. There's a fundamental shift in how not just environmental activists, but environmental entrepreneurs and the more creative entrepreneurs in the whole of business actually can say yes to some very positive and beautiful and wonderful and sophisticated and fundamentally fantastic strategies that are all around us. And that gets me really excited that we could learn from nature, borrow those strategies, come over here, create economically sustainable ventures, commercialization opportunities for our creative entrepreneurs.
Virtually every city in the world today must look at the resources required to produce foods. But a new product from a company in the United States, designated generally regarded as safe, promises to extend the shelf life of produce.
Food waste is an issue across the globe. If you look at estimates today, somewhere between 1/3 and 1/2 of fresh produce that is grown ends up in a landfill. In places of the world that don't have the same type of cold chain infrastructure that we take for granted here in the United States, those losses can be as high as 80–90%. And so Appeal is really here to help start addressing those issues by reducing the amount of food that we end up throwing into a landfill. My name is James Rogers, and I'm the CEO of Appeal Sciences. It's amazing that every single form of life on this planet employs some form of protective barrier in order to insulate it from the environment. With an avocado, that's this skin. The name of our company, Appeal, comes from the idea that fruit with a peel on it has naturally a 5 times longer shelf life than fruit without a peel. And so drawing on that original inspiration, we zoomed in, we looked at those surfaces because we understood that those surfaces are what's modulating the experience of that produce with the external world. This machine literally goes through molecule by molecule and shoots it past the detector. And what James has pulled up on the screen here is the fingerprint or the signature of those molecules as they go past the detector. Yeah, you can actually see the little bits of avocado in there. And what that allows us to do then is exactly specify the precise chemical compound that the plant is using to protect itself naturally. By creating this thin barrier of plant material on the outside of the produce, we slow down those first two processes. So we slow down the rate that the fruit is losing moisture, and we slow down the rate that oxygen is getting in. And that creates a healthier piece of produce, which is naturally able to resist those biotic stressors for much longer. At Appeal, we believe the only thing that belongs on food is food. And so what we use to create our products is food material. And we reapply that to the surface of the produce in order to dramatically improve quality and extend its shelf life. Most of the crops that you see on a grocery store shelf today are there because they're naturally long shelf life. I think the opportunity for consumers to experience new types of fresh produce and to connect producers of unique types of varieties of produce into grocery store aisles where they can pick them up and bring them home for their families is the thing that gets me most excited about what we're doing. It's going to be better quality, longer lasting, more nutritious, and you're going to be less likely to throw it away. I feel extremely fortunate every single day to get the opportunity to work on this problem because it's like being let in on a big secret. And nature will answer any question that you ask it.
Of course, not all the food we eat comes from the farm. Across the world, more than 3 billion people rely on fish as their main source of animal protein. But overfishing is robbing our ocean waters of their biodiversity. Ahead, meet the woman who's setting out to change that in one of the world's most picturesque cities. Stockholm has a striking new residential complex along its skyline. Architects say the cascading design of 79 and Park optimises access to natural light as well as views towards the city. The sculptural complex consists of 169 foliage-covered apartments arranged around an open courtyard.
All my life is dealing with plants, from childhood till now. They don't quarrel with you, You love them, they love you. So you make sure you water them, that they do well for you. And if you live with plants and nature, you'll never grow old. I'm Richard Tan. I'm the owner and founder of Garden and Landscape Centre.
Well, about 5 decades ago, Singapore is just a city full of slums and squatters. So the government really had to clean up the city and give people better living conditions. The Housing and Development Board was formed in 1960 when we first became independent. Giving people housing was a top priority for the government then. And the difference is that we wanted to build a nation of homeowners.
So they design housing not too far away and then relocate them. Beautification is not in their mind. When you want to do housing, you clear the land. So that every land that you clear, there's so much of vegetation. And that small little plot of land provides so much oxygen and so much of humidity and the fresh air. Now you remove that and you build concrete buildings. So you have to replace those pockets with plants so that we try to replace the amount of plants destroyed. That's what we are trying to do. So this is how it looks like, the panel. At the back is all aluminium. And we have only 4 hooks along here. And then this one will be hooking onto the wall. We were the first people who did the vertical greenery, right? And it's part of the government policy to try to green the whole city on vertical as well as on a rooftop garden. On most of the buildings, we need to have some kind of screen wall, green wall, which will be more permanent, and also to allow cleaning the air of the atmosphere.
The challenge is, how do you build high-rise, high-density development which is livable, that people actually want to live in? The project Pinnacle at Duxton was actually done as an experiment to test out very high density living environment.
I'm very proud that what we have done for Pinnacle Duxton. That was the first building in the whole Singapore, 50-story high, to build a garden in the sky. A lot of people get kind of fearful about how are you going to grow the plants at that high, and how are you going to maintain it. So to me, everything is possible. I think this is about 3 kg. I never say I'm a pioneer, but I happen to be one. Because there's nobody else of my age. I'm 85, a lot of people 65 are gone. But I don't feel that way. I'm still feeling 40, 30. I still can do it. This is life. We enjoy it. And bring home for my wife.
We're seeing a lot more purpose-driven entrepreneurs. We're seeing a lot more people that are living their values, and that's all around positivity. There was a time, if you were an environmentalist, let's say, you got together with your environmentalist friends and then you would go, yell at the people doing harm for the environment. Kids today say, hey, I don't like that in my neighborhood. I want to try and fix this. And they just start. They've got so many technologies available to them. They have so many resources, and increasingly they've got a lot of adults, a lot of wisdom keepers that give them the support they need to say, go for it.
Everything on the earth can be recycled, but not time. My name is Abdul Mukeet. I am 17 years old and I'm also known as the Paperback Boy. Plastic bags take 500 to 600 years to decompose. The environment is a gift from God to us. We can't just take it for granted. So in the beginning, when I started making paper bags, I essentially just used staplers. After that, my father told me that staples is not very good idea, and he told me to use glue.
I remember boy was making some bags out of my old newspaper.
After you stick your handles, your bag is ready. It can be used when you're going for the grocery or when you're going for supermarket for small stuffs. In 2010, the UAE Environment Day's theme was no plastic, and our principal came and told, we are celebrating No Plastic Day, we are going to have awareness campaigns and all that. I came to my house and I asked my mom, what are the harms of plastic bags, why shouldn't we use it? So then she told me that many animals die and it causes pollution.
We just thought that he will finish in few days, but it has taken years.
Did you all know that 100,000 marine animals die due to eating plastic bags and plastic bottles, mistaking it for food? 100,000 marine animals due to our actions. There are 3 local groceries in my area and I distributed them. Sabir was one of the first shopkeepers I came to and I gave my bags, and he has been using them ever since to spread awareness in the community. I believe one of my biggest achievements is the Indian Institution of Technology in a place called Varanasi in India. We made 500,000 paper bags, and then they distributed the paper bags all around the city of Varanasi.
Seeing to his initiatives about environment, we thought we need to encourage him as best as we can. So we tried to work it out with him for a lot of projects where his ideas can be incorporated in the school day-to-day working.
The school has supported me in a variety of ways. As soon as my campaign was started, they banned plastic packaging, so that helped spread our message more. So this notice board in our school, I regularly update it on environmental topics. Any articles that I find will create awareness on the environment, I usually put them up. So this one is on the topic of plastic bags, this one is on the topic of going eco-friendly in neutral city. So this is a plant that we've grown a few years ago. Our environmental crop called the Prakriti group. They have been very active in saving the environment and maintaining these trees. We usually water these plants and these trees and that side also every week or so, and we maintain and create awareness in the school.
I feel that he is really conscious about the efforts that he has put in and sees himself as a source of inspiration to the young student community.
This used to be the primary block of Abu Dhabi Indian School. I joined in 5th grade and this was my first class, and this is where my campaign started. So let's have a look inside. Hi everyone. Hello. If we keep going at this pace, we all will suffer in the future. There will be less oxygen produced because of deforestation. Many animals will keep on dying. The food chain will be affected. From many angles, you all will suffer if we don't save the environment. Plastic bags are still used on a huge basis. People are still not yet aware of the harms of plastic bags. People should be made aware. I still have a lot of work to do, and until plastic bags are completely wiped out of the earth, I'll keep working.
Ahead, we'll introduce you to the groundbreaking work of Dr. Kerry Singh and her efforts to get the next generation hooked on marine conservation.
I think that right now we are at a tipping point, but I like to believe that the tipping point, especially with our youth, is more of an appreciation for our natural resources and for nature and everything all around us, the natural world. All of conservation begins with affection. We want to conserve the things we love. And I think at the core of it, especially today, the more local it is, the better, because people want to care for, they want to save the things that they see every day, that are in their own backyards.
In South Africa, Dr. Kerry Singh is leading the charge to protect the region's unique and threatened offshore marine life. Through efforts like the Sea Keys Monitoring Workshop, the Living Planet Award winner is changing the way South Africans view marine conservation.
South Africa is really a maritime nation. We have 3 ocean systems. We've got the Indian Ocean on our east coast, we've got rich, productive Benguela upwelling system on the west coast, and then this incredibly cold Southern Ocean. So we're really an ocean country.
So here we are in the beautiful Table Mountain National Park in the city of Cape Town at the tip of South Africa, and it's here where the Atlantic Ocean and the Indian Ocean come together in the mixing area, and that's what drives this incredible marine biodiversity. So it's this exceptional marine biodiversity that we're trying to look after in South Africa, and we're doing this by developing a network of 20 brand new marine protected areas.
We get to experience places that no one has ever seen before, and to witness the incredible diversity of the different types of ecosystems. I mean, people imagine in their minds that you kind of go down and as soon as you hit that dark water, it all looks the same, but it's not like that. There is incredible deep reefs with colorful lace corals. There are gardens of thistle corals. There are groves of sea fans. There are areas where life is sparse. Critical in my work, and to do the work that I do, is laying the foundation and producing a national map of the marine ecosystem types of the country. So on land, people are aware of forest and deserts, and in South Africa our fynbos systems, but actually in the sea it's very similar. We've got all these different types of ecosystems. We currently have 24 coastal marine protected areas, and those cover 0.4% of the ocean around South Africa. This one here is a temporary protected area. The area is protected only when the whales are present. I've been working towards the proclamation of 20 new marine protected areas that will really represent our offshore biodiversity, so the different ecosystem types, and to safeguard our offshore resources.
There's one group to the left. You'll see there's a double blow.
I'm also inspired by watching the next generation of scientists meet their goals and reach their dreams.
15 meters or so.
And it's really rewarding when you get to see other people become excited about marine science and to show to them what's under this blue blanket. It's the
the incredible diversity and wonder of it, and to watch children and adults experience that is very rewarding.